Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Post-lunch sessions are normally very slow, but we are going to make this exciting. I have with me this afternoon, one more person is going to join. So we'll have 5 brilliant entrepreneurs. Brilliant is a much misused word, but I'm using it specifically because they are not only brilliant in the work that they do in office. Please join us, ma'am. Yeah. They're also brilliant in their daily life. They have a fabulous work-life balance. And this is a challenge which everybody faces. It's not a challenge just for one gender, one person. It's across the world. But more specifically, here we have 5 women who have to be in different roles at different times. Daughters, mothers, wives/girlfriend, as in my case, I call my wife girlfriend. So I know what it means. It's a little difficult to appreciate what all a woman can do. They do what good movies show us as multi-starrers. They do all the roles. And they do it at different times. And today, this afternoon, we are going to learn more and more about an interesting aspect of the lives of these 5 people. How did they get into the businesses that they have got into? And what were the challenges they faced, both as entrepreneurs and as individuals, and how did they manage their work-life balance? So Aisha, we'll go straight to you. London School of Economics, Cambridge, the city in London, working there for 10 years, and then becoming a writer.
I mean, that was the intent, but that didn't work out.
Slightly louder, ma'am.
So that was the intent, but that didn't work out.
And then what worked out was your business.
Well, I started one of the first dating websites where women could send friend requests called Date Dosti first in 2010.
So it was Tinder for women?
It was Bumble now, except
now, right.
we were too early for our time.
Right.
So we got funding, but there were, very quickly lakhs of people and about 5 women, of which 4 was my husband. So that didn't pan out. And then, obviously, as one does as an investment banker, you start to do all these businesses, start to lose money. And then finally, we started this digital agency in 2013, right. Which then kind of combined the ability that I had to write and be creative, but yet, of course, get funded. And then it became one of the largest agencies, at least in North India. But I would say that to your point of us all having a work-life balance, I'm not so sure I have managed that to the best of my ability so far. But I think the important thing is to do whatever it is that one can, right, and not to have standards of perfection all the time. It's okay to mess up with that.
Yeah, I think there are no standards here.
Yeah.
There's individual,
Yes.
sort of markings,
Yeah.
which we go for, and we accomplish some of them.
Yeah.
And we should be happy with that.
Yes.
Ms. Mansi, you've just joined us. We are putting you right on the hot spot. How do you manage your work-life balance in a situation that you are in?
Hi. Work-life balance, I think it's just the support system that you have within the family as well as within the organization, I think is the biggest factor to be able to balance the both properly. And I think that at home, your family, your kids, your partner, they have to be partner in everything. So whether it's taking care of the baby, so it's the understanding of the family, both in your in-laws, if you're married, and the conviction that your parents have in you. So I'm a strong contender for the fact that it's all the support system that you have in the family. And obviously, when you have the right kind of team at workplace, so I call them my A team, and they are like family. So it's the support that I get from them is something that helps me do what I do on a day-to-day basis. I have a 7-month-old son now.
Wow.
So a new mother, however, he is equally a part of the Jory family as much as the rest of the office people are, because I take him to work every single day, and I am being, I like to be a hands-on mother, but having a venture and a baby at the same time are like having two twins, so you can't prioritize one over another.
That's really nicely put, having twins, huh? But you make it sound so easy. I mean, all of you, there must be situations when things are going wrong in office. They're going really bad. And there's something else at home which needs your attention. So how do you manage two twins?
In that case, your partner.
Your partner
So your
has to step
partner in everything. Now he is a partner with me on the venture as well. He, joined us full time about a year ago, and I think it's partnership at all levels.
Sonia, you agree with that?
Well, I'm a single mother of 2 boys, so I wouldn't for me, the support system comes from everybody. And I think the biggest work-life balance that I have struck is let go of the guilt. And what I see is life is work in progress. So at times I'm carrying my homework to office and office work to home, and that's how I strike the balance. But the beauty of it is rather than quantifying it, it's very qualitative for me. I always tell my sons, because I've worked throughout my pregnancies and got back to work and never took a break. And because of which we have a great comfort, because they know I have to work, I have to travel. They accept it beautifully, they respect that, and I keep engaging in a conversation with them. Likewise at work, I quit my job almost 3 years ago, and I'm an entrepreneur. I run 3 ventures. I'm a runner. I find time to run. I'm an ultra runner. I work for a cause which is empowering women for health and fitness. So it's about how you find time. You make time for what you love. So for me, it's a cliche, trying to find the work-life balance. Because in everything that I do, because I love what I do, the balance comes automatically and very naturally. And as I said, sometimes you have to just let go of the guilt. Yes, as a young mother, when my children were growing up, I was going through my separation, there was stress. I wouldn't deny it. But I stopped being hard on myself. There are things that I can do. I will appreciate that, and I will make others appreciate it. There are things that I can't do, and then I have to prioritize it. There are times that I can't be at my children's school. I let my mother go there. There are times, of course, I make it a point to be available for them for all their important days. But days like this when I'm traveling, I'm of course available to them on a call. But whenever I'm with them is the most time that I spend with them qualitatively. So, likewise, when I'm at work, I'm managing my clients or partners or team, I'm fully there. I think it's very important to give 100 or 200% with whatever you're doing. The balance, you will find it automatically.
Why don't you go ahead?
Hi. So I have, whatever these ladies, beautiful ladies are saying, I second that. I have one more thing to add on to it is, it's more of internal than external. If I'm absolutely clear what I want, then I would be able to achieve whatever it is there. I have to be absolutely clear. My priorities should be pretty clear. I cannot be a chief excellence officer everywhere. I need to find out. I have to set the expectations right, and then I need to know what I love the most. And then I can download or I can outsource the work which I don't like.
And also to add to that, I think that at least when I was a banker in London before India, I think we make a very big deal of, wow, working while you're pregnant. I started Rep India when I was 6 months pregnant. I had
Is that a very Indian thing?
I think it is. I think it's regressive. I think, when I used to go to pitches.
I live and work in the West, and I've seen it's not even an issue.
I mean, when I used to go to pitches, let's say with the Tatas, etc., firstly, it was usually a room dominated by men on the marketing side. And they do look at you with a certain amount of pity. Oh my God, must be quite desperate to be coming to work at 8 months pregnant, pitching for the Tata Trust mandate, But I think that it's generally people are surprised that you
Have
might
things
have two
changed?
children, you might do a business, you might be working, and even I've got to tell you, we have about 200 people now at Rep India, and very often women when they get married, they have 6-week weddings and then don't come back into the workforce. So I think there's a general cultural subcontext where it's such a big deal to work as a woman and have children. And I don't think it's a big deal at all. I think the whole world does it. And frankly, we should be doing it given the way the economy currently is. And India has one of the lowest number of women in the workforce currently.
So I have a question for you. So in your company, if you have women and they're going forward with a marriage and post-marriage, how would you proceed?
I mean, I congratulate them. And I
Of
hope
course,
that
of course.
yeah.
But would they have leave? Would they have...
I mean, of course they have a normal amount of leave. I'm more interested in supporting people who, for example, with maternity leave, with letting them, very often, my assistant, for example, her in-laws were very anti her working post her pregnancy, but we just ensured she could get her baby in. Stuff like that. But ultimately, I can't fundamentally, there has to be a professional, personal balance, right? You can be like, congratulations, you're getting married, lovely. But then a lot of that comes from their structure and their context.
Correct.
And the structure and context is such that, honestly, a lot of people just don't return. Or when they are, household is more important as opposed to their own career.
Internal issues.
Yeah.
Why don't you say something? Yeah.
Yeah, on your question, I would like to add, one of my teammates, she came for interview, and she was pregnant in that time, and I selected her and given her flexibility to work, and she honored that kind of flexibility so much that she was working all through. Even on the day of delivery, she was working. And just after 3 days, she started working again from home. So it's not that women are taking advantage of that. Yes, there are instances.
Yes.
But definitely if your KRA is in place
Yeah.
and flexibility is there, you would definitely can handle this kind of situation.
Shubha, you have not been saying anything, just listening.
I mean, I'm also agreeing with a lot of what everybody is saying, but the one point I wanted to make is I think the definition of balance varies from person to person, right? So the example you took, that lady might have decided to come back after 3 days. There are my colleagues who've taken 6 months maternity leave and still not decided to come back. I think you have to appreciate that it's a personal choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to then balance accordingly. And also, definition of balance has changed. I think earlier there was a culture of 9 to 6. I think all of us would agree that's kind of gone away. And you do what you like to do. Just a personal story, when I decided to quit, so very similar to Asha, I spent 10 years in consulting and banking, and when I decided to move back, of all people, my father was shocked. He says, are you sure you want to leave like a cushy job and come back? He's been very supportive, but it's so ingrained in him saying, are you sure you want to do this? And there was an investor who asked me very early on in our journey, and we are 2 female partners, right? What happens if you guys get married? And I couldn't, fresh off the boat from London, I was shocked that that was even a question that people could ask. I said, nothing, life carries on. I'm not sure what the difference is. But I think the secret to it is aligning your partner. When I started Your Space, which is a student housing brand, my husband, who's a lawyer, was doing his own practice. And he decided to take a step back. He said, we can't both be running crazy 2 businesses. And he said, let me move into a job and you run your business. And I've aligned the rest of my organization also. So if Fridays or Saturdays are family days, my team knows not to disturb me unless it's an emergency. I think it takes time to inculcate that thinking within the organization, and I think you have to keep pushing at it and sending out that message.
Right.
And not just for me, even for a warden in my hostel, if she needs to take time off for her son's annual day, we will work around it and the organization will support that.
You'll find a way.
You'll find a way. I think there's always a way.
Speaking to all of you today, it reminds me of this John Lennon song in which he said, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. And it's so true. Have you felt that?
So I think so I have a 2-month-old son, and so from personal experience, I mean, like a lot of women here on the panel, like so for last 10 years, before I started this company, I run a fashion house. I was an investment banker too, and for 10 years, I think I've only worked, and women put so much pressure on themselves, and there is so much to prove. I think in everything that you do in life. So for 10 years, I don't think I've taken any break, not for a single day. And when I had my son, so I was working till one day before I went to the hospital. And when I had my son, after that, for the first few weeks, for the first 2, 3 weeks, it was like, exactly like what's happening to me, and how do I kind of go back now, and what does life come to? And within 4 weeks, I was back at work, and that's when I realized that as a woman and as a woman entrepreneur, I think we make choices, and there are no rights and wrongs. Like a lot of people said, somebody could choose to go back at 6 months or 1 year. Somebody could choose to go back at 2 weeks. And when I met my son's doctor, he goes like, your company is not going to stop if you don't go for 3 months. And that's when I realized that nobody else can understand this. I think only women who are doing it themselves can understand what they go through. And so for me, I mean, personally, it was like, because I love doing what I do, I actually realized that, I think I can manage both. And as hard as it may sound to a lot of people, if you love what you're doing, and I think, a lot of us would agree to that, it's not hard at all. And at the end of it, I mean, it's also, for a lot of women who don't have the support and who are not able to do that, when they do see some people and, maybe some of us doing that, I think it definitely motivates them, or at least, mentally it helps them. So I also feel it's a responsibility, because we're privileged, and I feel I'm privileged and I was able to do that, and hence I want to help others do that. So in our company now, whether it comes to maternity, I've got a small nursery made for my son, and anybody's welcome to kind of get their kids now. So a lot of those things, if we can help some other women do it, I think that's huge for women, as a community overall.
I also think that, I mean, at least I found that people who are in similar situations, like Anika Parashar, who's just walking in, who's been a friend, and I worked with her very closely because she was heading up Fortis, and we are their advertising agency. I think that you find a lot of women who are actually in the workplace, in leading positions, and personally, those are not the women I have a bit of an issue with. But I got to tell you, the guilt of a lot of women, for example, in my school, my kids' schools, that there's quite a bit of, oh my God, you're in school today, what's happened, did you lose your job? Or, oh my God, you're late again, ha ha ha. Or, excuse me, your zip isn't fully done from the background, or you look really tired. I mean, I'm not saying it's I'm saying that the women who work, there's a lot of camaraderie, but I think that there is a larger societal narrative when you're a mother, where there is a lot of judgment from a lot of people, men and women.
There are pressures.
There are a lot of pressures, but they're
kinds of-
not
She mentioned that.
self-induced pressures.
Probably
She
just
mentioned that.
come in
But
here.
let me just ask you a question. Do you think those pressures are exclusive to women entrepreneurs?
No, I think they're to everybody. But I
Yeah.
think that, when people ask me about my work-life balance, I'm just okay. I'm, struggle once in a while. But I think that it's people outside my core support group, outside my clients, a lot of whom are very kind of strong women.
And does it matter what they're thinking?
No, it doesn't, but it's an irritation, It's like,
even to irritate
it's like
you?
a bad smell,
Even to irritate you? Should it matter?
Well, I mean, nothing. Frankly, we should all be like Buddha,
Not Buddha.
But I mean that.
It's irrelevant.
I mean that.
I want
the
to
noise, right?
It's the noise. It's the noise.
the
But I
noise.
think it's one of those. It's like we could be like Rupi Kaur and say, everybody loves themselves, wake up in the morning, But there, we're not. I mean, I'm not. Definitely not.
I think
But
I just
you're
want to
doing
come
fine.
in
You're
here.
doing fine. Go ahead.
My point is, I agree. I mean, I hear a lot of that being a single mother. So at one point in time, I said, opinions, you don't pay my bills, so your opinion doesn't matter, and you have to shut them off. But what's more important is that you have to have this conversation with you first, internally. It's very important. And also at the same time, sensitize people around you and keep having this conversation to the people it matters. Like, for example, my children. You know, I keep having this conversation and I keep telling them I cannot be everywhere. So one day, my younger one, he came back from a birthday party and he said, you know, Mom, you know, Dhruv's mother baked the cake. You know, so she knows how to bake. So I just looked and smiled. Then he said, no, but I told him my mother knows to run. She runs marathons. You know, so he had an answer. And it came because we have this conversation. As mothers, as women, as wives, as professionals, businesswomen, entrepreneurs, all of us need to have that conversation constantly.
No, I agree with you. I'm not really looking for a solution for it. In the sense, it doesn't bother me. But I'm saying it's a societal construct.
Yeah.
Whether it's the fact that most women that I know who I went to school with don't work particularly hard.
I know a lot of men who went to school with me. They don't work.
They don't work either.
You know, it's,
no, but given we're talking
for
about
different reasons.
given we're talking about women, right? I think that I think that there is
it can never be a switch which is a switch on and off, whether you're a
Yes.
stay-at-home mom
Yeah.
or you're
No,
working
but
mom,
this-
or even for the men.
there's
I see a lot of men who are also struggling. It's just that probably they don't talk about it, or it's not an accepted norm of men having that work-life balance, because it's always preconceived that, men anyways have a work-life balance because they can do a lot of
but
things.
it's easier for men to have a work-life balance. I think it's
No,
easier
but
for men to
also-
have a work-life balance.
That is something I want you to repeat.
Yeah, I think it's easier.
I want you to repeat, actually.
Okay, I think it's easier for men to have a work-life balance given the societal constructs that we operate in. I'm a big believer in affirmative action, and I think that women are held back constantly.
Now you're speaking
by-
my language. I
Yeah.
really agree with you.
Yeah.
But we have to take it forward, right? So when you say it's a
I
societal
mean, these
construct,
awards are called Women Entrepreneur Awards.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why
male
we're here.
Entrepreneur Awards are not
Yeah.
called Male Entrepreneur Awards. So
Exactly. Now, if it's a societal construct, where do we take it from here? We belong to the most ancient civilization. But in our thinking, we seem to be ancient. We are not modern
I think
on
a
this
lot-
subject, on just this specific subject.
But I think on that, a lot of it needs to come from us, not just entrepreneurs, but just women who are working to talk a lot about it. Because I feel in our construct, it's wrong to say, I actually want to go to work today and this is more important for me. So I think an open discussion in forums like this, but also at home, to say it's okay, I want to do this and I should not be feeling guilty about this. And talking about it with a broader organization is what is required. And doing it with other people in your organization.
Yeah, I would like to add
Yeah,
here
go ahead.
that when you talk about societal construct, it is like this, but it's changing now. How we are upbringing our children, it is changing now. Next generation, definitely it's not going to be like this. So right now, for people like us in our age group, maybe I'm the eldest one here, maybe. So for us, yeah, I know. So for us, it's very important. We should set our priorities right. And as I mentioned, we should set the expectations right everywhere. That's what I would, again, and one more thing I would like to add. If I'm an entrepreneur, then I would look at it, the flexibility I give to everybody, including women. And when I give flexibility, I should not be taxing the person, whether it's a woman or men, that you are given flexible hours. Because I have experienced that when I was in corporate. I'm a chartered accountant. I've worked with American Express. I have worked with Dun & Bradstreet and small organizations. So I have been once asked in my interview that your husband is placed at a nice position, so it might be like pocket money for you, pocket money job. I said, what do you mean by pocket money job? Because you are asking for flexible hours. So what? I'm working, KRAs are defined, I'm performing. So what do you mean by that? I didn't accept that job, and this is how my entrepreneurship started.
There is a problem in the mindset.
Exactly.
There is no acceptance of the fact that this person can be better or even the best in the
But
game that they are in.
It's changing, no
So
doubt.
Is it a lack of information, or is it just the upbringing, or where is the issue?
Upbringing of the previous generation.
Yes,
Not the
I
generation
actually
we are
agree with
bringing
that
up.
I'm so
Actually.
happy to hear that. I belong to that previous generation. When I got married, my wife was a professor in Delhi University. And the first question my friends asked me, you are going for a working wife?
Okay.
So it was a shock for me. I couldn't understand what that meant. I mean, anyway.
But
I
it's not.
agree to what she was saying, that with our generation now coming into picture, and
Very good.
Sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah.
I want to hear.
So, we are supposed to be better than the previous ones. That's how we'll take the race forward. And I think it's going to change. I mean, in my entire family and friend circle and people from my school, college, yes, there are choices people make.
Yep.
But I think we as independent women are now able to make those choices, whether we want to work, whether we want to be, at-home managers, moms, whatever. And I think when I talk about the generation, I talk about men as well. And I think this mindset is changing for everyone. And the prior generation actually has no choice but to agree with us.
But
To be honest.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there were certain exceptions I have seen in my family. My father was very strict. Male-female differentiation I have experienced, but when I got married, my father-in-law was the first one who was making tea, chopping vegetables and all that. So there were exceptions, and I have been lucky to see all that. Having said that, it's the mindset and the percentage which is on the other side is more as of now, but it is changing gradually, at least in metro and metropolitan cities. I cannot comment on villages and
You want to
rural
say something?
areas.
Yes, I just want to actually add to what you said. I mean, how do we move forward? I also think that women need to support women, and whether it's as as an investor or a partner or as an employee, as more and more strong women move forward, as we get more and more both seats, and you see more women CEOs, it's definitely going to change. And I think that's step one for all of us in the room.
And there has to be support group within every organization at home. I think we know each other best emotionally, physically, mentally, the makeup. So I think if these support group structures really come together, women will get that support and that way forward.